The witch has returned. I don't know that she's ever going to go away. I don't know that we're ever going to finally have a day when we no longer have to listen to the utter crap that the witch likes to spew, that she likes to try to spread to the public. But she's done it again. For those of you who haven't already picked up on who I'm talking about, I am referring to the scourge of New York and Washington herself, Hillary Rodham Clinton. And who did she decide to pick a fight with and make comments on this time? Well, one thing I have to say, if it wasn't already clear to me before, it definitely is now. Hillary Clinton has about as much judgment as to who she should spar with verbally. Her judgment is about as good on that as it is on foreign policy, economic policy, social policy, and the one thing they all have in common is her judgment sucks. Basically on everything. Everything. Because she has picked the one running for president who will not pull punches. She's picked a fight with Tulsi Gabbard. Now, Hillary, I know you probably got used to being able to trash Bernie Sanders, screw Bernie Sanders, rig a primary against Bernie Sanders, and then he just bows down to your unholy ass at the end of the primary to endorse you to be president, even though he was basically talking about all the things that were wrong with you and the establishment through that primary process. I'm sure you probably thought that your mighty Clinton name, since it worked on Bernie, you might get Tulsi to back down a little bit. But Hillary, what was your line of attack on Tulsi again? Russia. So first you tried with Trump. You got this whole thing rolling for the next 3 years, basically, with Donald Trump in Russia. Turned out to be a complete nothing. Now you're going to use this line of attack on Tulsi. Before I get to the video, I just want to emphasize one thing. If this does not show just how despicable and how low Hillary Clinton is, that she would go after someone actively serving in the U.S. military, running for president, joined the military to go serve our country in a war we should have never been in that Hillary Clinton was championing, and you've got the stones on you to imply she's a double agent being groomed by Russia to run third party to hurt the country or something. Which, first of all, let me say this. I'm not opposed to a third party candidate. If they screwed Tulsi and she ran third party, a lot of people come up from the standpoint, you gotta hand the election to the other person. They said that's why Clinton got the one in 92. Which, if you examine the facts on that, actually, no, that just doesn't add up. But I want a third-party candidate, and I want a good third-party candidate. And I think Tulsi Gabbard or Andrew Yang, or even Richard Ojeda, had he stayed in the race, they would have all made good third-party candidates. Okay? I would even like to see Jesse Ventura up there as a third-party candidate one of these days. Unfortunately, Jesse's been hinting around about it for over a decade. I really just don't. I think Jesse's got a problem with what's going on, but I don't think he's sincere enough to run. But for you to imply this about someone serving in the military, got in to go serve the country in a war we shouldn't have gone into that you championed along, and then you imply she's working for Russia against the interests of the country she's in the military serving for. When, what have you done for this country, Hillary? Your husband was behind a lot of Wall Street deregulation that's hurt the country. Your husband was part of signing NAFTA, which cost Americans a lot of jobs. You voted for us to go to war in Iraq, which was a complete blunder, and I don't think there's many people who will argue against that today. Okay? And you were part of the Obama administration. Obviously, there was the big fumble and mess that happened in Benghazi. And I know a lot of people on the left are saying, oh, this is just right-wing talking points, but I buy into it. I completely believe there was some kind of a quid pro quo going on with Uranium One. I completely believe you were trying to hide stuff you were doing in the State Department. That's why you deleted those emails. You know, destroyed the servers and everything else, the bleach bit, the whole 9 yards. And what was it? The State Department just come out and said they found at least 600 security issues with how you conducted yourself, basically, while you were in the State Department. Yeah, Hillary, you've done such a great job for a country. Oh, and by the way, before Bill got elected, what were you doing? Getting, basically, pedophile rapists off and laughing about it. You're such a great public servant. So, without any further ado, let's cut to a CNN clip where they cover just what Hillary Clinton had to say. And I am using a CNN clip, and you'll see why in just a moment.
Hillary Clinton is suggesting that Russians are grooming a 2020 Democratic presidential hopeful to run as a third-party candidate and spoil the race for the Democrats. Take a listen to her remarks in a new podcast from David Plouffe.
I'm not making any predictions, but I think they've got their eye on somebody who's currently in the Democratic primary and are grooming her to be the third-party candidate. She's the favorite of the Russians. They have a bunch of sites and bots and other ways of supporting her so far.
Now, when asked if Clinton was referring to Congresswoman Tulsi Gabbard, Democrat of Hawaii, Clinton's spokesman said, quote, if the nesting doll fits, he added, quote, if the Russian propaganda machine, both their state media and their bot and troll operations, is backing a candidate aligned with their interests, that is just a reality. It is not speculation. Nia, I mean, just because she has views that might align with Russia on some matters, including Syria, for example, is that really responsible for Hillary Clinton to say she's a Russian asset, like something out of the movie Red Sparrow?
Right.
So, here's why I chose the CNN clip. When even Jake Tapper has to take a moment to question the queen of the propaganda media herself, Hillary Clinton. When even Jake Tapper has to sit back and say, should she really have said that about someone serving in the military running for president? That shows just how bad things really are. Even Jake Tapper won't try to cover up for this. And might I add, as Tulsi pointed out during the debates, someone else on CNN the day of the debate said she was a Russian agent, an Assad apologist, and this and that. Really? I mean, to say these things about someone serving in your military currently completely disrespectful. Oh, and what are a lot of the things she is in line with Russia on that we should have kept our nose out of Syria? I mean, I guess I'm in line with Russia too. We should have. Why are we involving ourselves all over the world in matters that don't really concern us? All on the, assumption that if we don't go around the world spending all of our money and resources to wage war, that's what they're saying anyway, of course. The real reason that they're really doing it is the military-industrial complex, but what they tell you is that if they don't, we'll have another 9/11. No, what happened on that fateful day was the scapegoat for the military-industrial complex to ramp up the bribing, ramp up the lobbying, and get the public behind going into war, and then we went down a slippery slope that we've never come back from. We've been in war ever since. Quite frankly, we were in war before that too. It was just an excuse to get into even more war, ramp up more military budget, more DOD funding, more weapons, more money, more money, more money, more money, more money, more money. That's all it's about for these people. Money, 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 money. And you think it's any different for Hillary Clinton and her ilk? Hell no, it's not. That's all she wants. More money. The DOD, the military-industrial complex, Big Pharma, they've had that witch in their pocket for years. And just because she isn't running for president now, you think she don't know what mountain she built her castle on top of? Of course she does. She's not going to come out and tell the truth now. She's going to use this Russia attack, all this propaganda BS, to bury anyone she can, period. And it doesn't matter if you're on the right or on the left. If you try to speak out against the queen of this corrupt propaganda fake news media herself, Hillary Clinton, she's going to try anything possible to tear you down. And then she's going to have a wing of the media standing right there with her, shoulder to shoulder, spitting out propaganda. Now, I point out here, again, Jake Tapper wouldn't even defend this in his first line of questioning. He's like, was that really appropriate? Now let's hear who he asked the question to. What do they have to say about it?
Something off of sort of social media in the Twitterverse too, as well, because this is what you hear. You know, if you're on Twitter, this is a lot of the conversation around Tulsi Gabbard from many Democrats who do see that she or feel like she is something of a spoiler in this race, that her views align with Russia in many ways. But it's surprising coming from Hillary Clinton in many ways. But again, I mean, she.
And why do you hear these things on social media? Now, I'll give this lady credit. She at least said there's a lot of Democrats who are saying it. Oh, of course Democrats are saying it, because their donors want them to say it, because she doesn't support their go around the world and try and intervene in regime change and blah, blah, blah. She's not for it. She won't take their money. She won't support it. She's been in battle. She knows the problem, and that's why she wants out of it. How many other of these politicians, other than like Buttigieg, you know, I mean, really? I know Buttigieg was in the military too, but but that doesn't necessarily mean anything. There's a lot of politicians who served in the military who don't have the view that Tulsi has, that we shouldn't be getting into these wars. Okay? And so this lady is saying, well, this is something that's being spread out. And where are people getting these ideas from? Because if most people, excluding a lot of right-wingers, of course, if a lot of independents and people on the left and so on and so forth And even some right-wing people. I mean, the non-intervention thing was a big thing, I think, that really helped Trump in the Republican primary. So I would feel comfortable saying the majority of the country, if they sat down and listened to Tulsi Gabbard speak on her position about the Middle East, they would agree. What's my evidence of that? Well, maybe the fact she was the most searched candidate after her first 2 debate performances. People didn't know about her, and then they started doing their homework and their research. Interesting. And she was the most searched candidate. So, are the American people in line with Russia? I don't think so. So again, where's all this coming from? From the mainstream media pushing this propaganda message. The same way they did when the DNC and Hillary Clinton and everyone tried to say Trump was a Russian agent. And we spent a lot of money on an investigation that gave us no evidence of that.
Went through this in 2016. I think part of her strategy here is to say there are always these things that could be going on in this election that we didn't pay attention to in 2016, and she's sort of raising sort of the warning signs going forward for what might happen in 2020. I mean, that is sort of a charitable view of what.
Now we get the defense of almighty Hillary. See, Jake Tapper even had to sit there and question, like, was this really? Now we've got the people at CNN, this lovely media group. Now they're going to start spitting that propaganda. And now it has been framed that, well, I mean, maybe she is, maybe she isn't a Russian agent, but Hillary Clinton's just looking out for the next election and the country as a whole. Her heart's in the right place. My ass.
That she could be doing.
So Gabbard just tweeted a response. Let me read it. She said, quote, "Great, thank you, Hillary Clinton. You, the queen of warmongers, embodiment of corruption and personification of the rot that has sickened the Democratic Party for so long, have finally come out from behind the curtain. From the day I announced my candidacy, there has been a concerted campaign to destroy my reputation. We wondered who was behind it and why. Now we know it was always you, through your proxies and powerful allies in the corporate media and war machine, afraid of the threat I pose. It's now clear that this primary is between you and me. Don't cowardly hide behind your proxies. Join the race directly." Now,
Hillary, like I said, you picked the fight with the wrong one. Tulsi will not bow down to you like Bernie Sanders. It's not going to happen. Okay? So Tulsi went on later that day. She did a couple of interviews. One on Fox News with Tucker Carlson, the other on CBS, and I can't remember this anchor's name off the top of my head. I like the one with Tucker Carlson. Tucker Carlson gave her a fair interview and argued for her. Argued saying that, yes, this is absolutely horrible. You know, that anyone who disagrees with you on foreign policy now that doesn't want to be involved in war, they're going to frame you as a traitor to your country. So he gave her a fair interview. He helped get that message out there. It's a good clip. I would recommend people to go watch it. But rather than making this video another 40, 50-minute, hour-long video by splicing in too many clips, because I definitely want to get the CBS one in here, and here's why. You remember me saying Clinton was the queen of the fake news, propaganda, corrupt media? You remember me saying that? Well, if any of you thought that I was exaggerating, or if it was just CNN, okay, let's take a look at CBS's interview with Tulsi Gabbard about this issue. Pay attention to some of these questions. We'll be doing reaction on it as it goes.
Congresswoman Tulsi Gabbard is responding to Hillary Clinton's comments suggesting that a 2020 candidate is being groomed by the Russians. Congresswoman Gabbard joins me now from Iowa City, Iowa. Congresswoman, thank you so much for being here with us. So, in
Aloha,
full,
thank you.
What did you make of Secretary Clinton?
So I want to add one thing before we really get started here. You notice the introduction that a 2020 candidate is being groomed by the Russians. That's the framework. Keep that in mind as we go through
his comments this week.
Let's be clear about what this is about. Really, that if anyone stands up and speaks out to end the regime change war policies our country has had for so long, the likes of which we've seen waged in Iraq, Libya, and ongoing in Syria, we will be labeled as foreign agents. We will be labeled as traitors to our country. So really what this is a message to every veteran in this country who has put their life on the line to serve our country, to every single American who believes strongly that we must end this long-standing foreign policy of being the world's police and waging these regime change wars, which is really the legacy of Hillary Clinton. Then we are traitors to the nation that we love. This is despicable on so many levels.
When you say regime change wars, what do you mean by that?
This long-held foreign policy of the United States, of which Hillary Clinton was a champion of for a very long time, of going around the world, acting as the world's police, overthrowing and toppling dictators that we don't like. Again, wars that I've served in, the war in Iraq, the toppling of Gaddafi in Libya, and the ongoing regime change war in Syria. This is what we're talking about. This is what I have been strongly calling for an end to. And this is the reason why she and her minions are trying to smear me, smear my character, and undermine my campaign, labeling me as a foreign agent, as a traitor to my country.
But Congresswoman, with respect, Clinton did not explicitly name you in that podcast. So why are you addressing her comments and bringing more attention to them?
Come on. Let's be real here. Look at every single.
Now you get my point. Or who is this lady kidding? Really? To anyone who genuinely believes that she was not talking about Tulsi Gabbard, break down what she said. Who has been the most vocal about getting out of these wars in the Middle East? Who went and met with Assad to try to work that out? Of course, Russia believes we should have been hands off in Syria. Let Assad be Assad. That's Russia's stance. Here's my prediction. If Hillary Clinton or one of her cronies open their mouth anymore, they're going to use the fact that they did not name Tulsi Gabbard specifically, but Tulsi responded by saying, well, you're talking about me, as a way of saying, oh, well, look, the guilty dog's barking. You really are a Russian puppet after all, huh? We didn't say it was you. You assume we're talking about you. Why is that? Is Russia controlling what you're doing? Are you Vladimir Putin's puppet? You're taking orders from the Kremlin, aren't you? See, you thought we were talking about you because you got a guilty conscience. If they continue it, that's going to be their line of attack here. And I would bet you just about anything that if they start that line of attack, Nimrods and cronies like this news anchor are going to spread that propaganda. Just like they have about her being an Assad apologist and all this other crap over the years. So she tries to ask this BS question. Well, how do you know she's talking about you? She didn't say you by name. Aren't you assuming a little bit? Let's look at Tulsi's response.
Headline that's come out of her comments on that podcast, every single one has my name in there. So let's not mess around here and pretend that it wasn't something that it was.
Would you ever consider running as a third-party candidate
change the subject, aren't we? You were quick to get off that subject because why? You can't deny that all the headlines that came out of what Hillary Clinton said were pointing to Tulsi Gabbard. If they didn't even just downright say she was talking about Tulsi Gabbard, they're saying, well, at least it seems like she's talking about you. That's being modest. But it was all pointing to Tulsi. And then Tulsi comes out and says, really, lady? Are you really, that much of a dunce? You really can't figure this out? You're a journalist. Have you not been watching the news? Have you not seen what the headlines are? Is that it? What is this, a rhetorical question? Obviously, we know it's about me. But they're in my opinion, they're framing Hillary Clinton and the establishment's next talking point against Hillary Clinton, against Tulsi Gabbard. They're setting it up, getting it ready. They're just waiting to pull a trigger. That's my opinion. Now, maybe they won't. Maybe they'll back off. I'll believe it when I see it. That's just a prediction that I'm making at this time. Tulsi Gabbard took that question and just smacked her all around with it. Now let's move on to the next topic because I just got my ass handed to me on that.
she believes
No.
possibly would?
No, I've said that many times before. I've been very clear. I will not be leaving the Democratic Party. I will not be running as an independent or a third-party candidate. I am running as a Democrat to take our party back away from the control of people like Hillary Clinton and the warmongering and corrupt, powerful establishment, and return our party into the hands of the people. Make it so that the Democratic Party is once again a party of, by, and for the people, a party that will fight for the people, fight to protect our planet, and that will fight for peace.
If it's not you, though, are you concerned?
So, Tulsi's basically saying, yeah, I'm not going to do the third party run. I can see both sides of the argument why a lot of people think we should have good third party. Obviously, I think there should be a third party. The problem is right now the third parties don't have enough strength. And until the people really get fed up with the Democrats and the Republicans, it's going to make it very hard with the media in those two parties' pockets to get much publicity. Now with social media, if you had a chance, now's the chance. But they're rigging the system for the two-party dictatorship. So a lot of people look at it from the standpoint of it's pretty much a lost cause until there's some sort of a bombshell wave for the third party. I think we're halfway there, but at the same time, I think there's just so many people groomed to be a Democrat or a Republican in this country, even though over half are independents. When it comes time to vote, they say, well, if I vote on that third-party candidate, I'm wasting my vote. I'm just going to hand it possibly to the one on the completely opposite side of the aisle that I don't like. So, for example, a lot of people didn't like Hillary Clinton, but really didn't want Donald Trump, so they voted for Jill Stein or Gary Johnson or whoever, because Bernie didn't get the nomination. And then there were other people sitting back and saying, well, no, I'm going to vote for Hillary Clinton because if I vote for one of these guys, I'm handing it over to Donald Trump. So, to me, I don't think you should ever vote against someone. You should vote for who you agree with. And that is also why I'm starting to grow more and more favorable of the concept of ranked choice voting. Not just casting a ballot for one person. You got your first choice, your second choice, your third choice, and however many was actually on the ballot. You write it all out, and it goes through a process of elimination till you have a decisive winner. Third parties would have a much better chance. let's see if a Democrat or a Republican really pushes to get it through. Obviously, there's some people running on the Democrat platform, and they're also mostly the people who are not establishment Democrats, such as Andrew Yang.
You, though, are you concerned about there potentially being a third-party candidate to emerge?
I want to stay focused on exactly what's happening here, because this is a dangerous message that's being sent to the American people, that if anyone, any veteran, any service member, any American stands up and speaks out for ending these regime change wars, of ending this long-held foreign policy, this is how they will be treated. So I'm calling on every American to stand with me as we stand up for the truth, we stand up for peace, we stand up for our freedoms, including our freedom of speech in this country, and invite them to join my campaign in doing this.
And freedom of democracy, I'm sure. So how concerned are you about Russian meddling in 2020?
Once again, this is not about Russia. Let's stay focused on the issue at hand here, that Hillary Clinton is labeling me as a foreign agent and a traitor, smearing and undermining my campaign, both directly herself and indirectly through her proxies, who've been doing this really since I announced my candidacy for president. The reason why she's doing this is because she knows that she can't control me. She knows that she's not going to be able to manipulate me if I'm elected president, to be able to continue these warmongering policies that she has championed throughout her career. This is about bringing our party back, bringing our country back into the hands of the people, and ensuring our government is fighting for the people, fighting for our planet, and fighting for peace.
And you're using strong words here. You've also used strong words toward Secretary Clinton on Twitter. Has she said anything to you specifically?
I have not personally heard from her.
I'm just going to cut it off there, leave it at that. There's really not very much left of the clip anyways. But one thing that I do want to say here is that Hillary, I'll say it again, you picked the wrong one. And the mainstream media, CBS, CNN, take your pick. The only one I think that really is being fair to Tulsi is Fox News, and that's because I think, honestly, at the end of the day, it's not because I think they're necessarily rooting for Tulsi. It's the fact that they can take how the DNC is trying to screw her and use it as a talking point for the Republicans to say, look what they're doing. They're such a rigged, corrupt system. I'm not saying Republicans' inside and internal workings are any better, but they could definitely use the ammunition, and there's just no indicator of those sorts of shenanigans going on right now in the Republican Party. If there are, it's at least not in the forefront of the media. This is all over the headlines. This is real news happening right now. This can be shown very easily, and the Republicans are going to take that ball and run touchdowns with it all game long. And that's why I think Fox News is really so easy to have Tulsi on and talk about what the DNC is doing to her. And meanwhile, at the same time, Tulsi is taking that opportunity to expose the DNC, whether it be on Fox News, CBS, wherever she gets the platform, she is exposing it. And there's a reason I don't think Hillary Clinton has responded, because Hillary Clinton might just be realizing she's out of her league. But, as I said, leave it to one of her proxies, because or her. I'm sure if a response is made, they're going to frame it, well, the guilty dog always barks. We didn't say you, but you responded. And it's got to be because you have a guilty conscience. But do I think Hillary Clinton has enough guts to get in the ring, re-enter the race, face Tulsi on a debate stage? No. The Queen, as much as she would like to be a president, I think has just about come to the terms that she had her chance, she had her time, she failed. That's why they're pushing old Crazy Joe this time around. And I don't think he's going to be successful either. But you can rest assured, that's why the DNC has so freaking many candidates out there. Most of them are not populist candidates. They may be trying to frame their message to some populist message that is along Bernie's line of argument, Tulsi's line of argument, or even Andrew Yang's or whomever, Richard Ojeda when he was running. They may be trying to use these tactics, but if you look at their resume and their record, they're certainly not that kind of candidate. Kamala Harris, Cory Booker, Beto O'Rourke, Mayor Pete, Kirsten Gillibrand when she was in the race. These people are not who they are trying to claim to be. Period. They're just not. Okay? And it's just a matter of playing to a base to get a nomination. The DNC gets their candidate. Then they try to get Trump elected. And then it's just DNC status quo as usual. Same old, same old. The DNC's basically had to tell Hillary Clinton, look, we get it. You're a Clinton. You want to be president, but you didn't get this done. And this time, because you lost to Trump, you would probably get your ass absolutely handed to you. So we have to try to put someone else who hasn't lost to Trump in place that'll still get what, our donors want done. But unfortunately, it ain't going to be you. And Hillary may even have just enough judgment to realize that herself. Thank you for tuning into this episode of the Independent Report. If you liked the video, please give us a thumbs up and like the video. Also, if you have any questions or comments that you'd like to ask or topics you'd like us to cover, please drop a comment in the comment box below. And also, please subscribe to the channel. And if you do subscribe, ring that bell so you'll stay up to date when we drop new videos and you'll get notifications of it. And also, please support us on Patreon. Funds are going to be used to grow and improve this channel so we can reach more and more people and spread the message that the mainstream media doesn't want to tell people. We hope you'll tune in next time.